perfect cooperation between athletes and sports equipment. Taisha has been served millions of games and never a malfunction and complaint. Taisha highly value innovation and technology. This is why we are trusted. This is Taisha Tips.
Day 7, 2019 World Championships from Kazakhstan. We're in the Track Wrestling Studio presented by Defense Soap. I'm David Mirakatani, joined by the man, the myth, and the legend, Andy Rovat. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you.
Let's take a quick look at the highlights from the session earlier this morning. We got a chance to watch some amazing wrestling today, and there's going to be just some insane wrestling coming up. Let's set the table. Everybody knows this session is going to be the semifinals on 2 mats at the 4 men's weights, 70 kilograms, 74, 92, and 125. And then on 1 mat, it'll be the medal matches at women's 62, women's 68. Freestyle men's are going to flip-flop the order here and go for 65 and finish with 57. And the highlight of those matches is going to be Tamyra Mensah-Stock. You've taken a look at the bracket. Why don't you let people know where she's come and what her finals match looks like?
Yeah, so Tamyra started as the number 2 seed. She's been very dominant leading into the finals. You said, what was it, 36 points she has scored and only given up 2. Very impressive. She has some good wins. She started with New Zealand, then Nigeria. A big win in her 3rd match against Japan.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, very traditional powerhouse. And then in the semifinals, a great 10-0 tech fall over a tough German opponent to face Sweden, another traditional powerhouse in the women. Franzen in the finals, and it's going to be a tough match and hard fought. They both have been scrapping a lot, scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, and Franzen's gone fall 1-1, 6-5, 9-7. Obviously, styles make fights, but if Mensah-Stock can wrestle the way she's been wrestling, taking ground, taking action, taking risks, taking shots, and getting to the legs and scoring, she's got a great chance to be the 3rd world champion out of the women's team.
No, for sure. And, both these women have been able to prove that they can score the points, but Franzen has been giving up a lot more points and has had tougher matches. And so if Tamyra can, continue to shut down her opponents, then, obviously her opponent has shown that she's been able to give up the points, and Tamyra should be able to get her offense off and come out of this as a world champion.
Yeah, 3 world champions for the team would be something to really, really, really be able to hang our hat on and move forward as a country. So let's talk about, sort of go from worst to best on the men's performance this morning. 125-pound kilos. The U.S. representative was Nick Gwizdowski, and he lost his opening match.
Yeah, to a very tough opponent. I talked a little bit about it during the match. Iran has been a thorn in the side of the U.S. heavyweights for the last decade, and it continued at this tournament. And unfortunately, that match didn't happen the way we wanted it to happen. But again, it's a learning experience for Gwizdowski, and he's going to have to try to qualify the weight, and he's going to have to fight off a lot of up-and-coming athletes to make that Olympic spot. So
absolutely.
Interesting year for heavyweight at USA.
Yep. At 70 kilograms, our representative was James Green. He looked really, really solid as round 1. Nice tech fall right away, got to his lace, did some really nice things. And then in round 2, wrestled the Polish wrestler. Lost a match, looked a lot like the Deacon match where he was winning, and then at the very end got himself pushed to the edge, and the guy got to a leg, never really covered the second leg. You pointed out during the match that it probably never would have been a takedown in the middle of the mat.
Correct.
But they gave him 2, made it 3-3. They each had a 2 and a 1. By virtue of last point, Green lost the match. That was in the round of 16. However, that wrestler has won his next 2 matches and is now in the semifinals. So talk a little bit about what that guy has to do, who he has to beat to get Green pulled through.
Yeah, so Gadziev, he's been wrestling for Poland maybe the last 4 or 5 years, originally from Dagestan, Russia. He has a native Russian, David Bayev, who's Ossetian. David's been able to score a lot of points this tournament. He's got a great open style where Gadziev is a little more closed and stingy, and so it's going to make for a very interesting matchup. Just a stronger wrestler, an older, more not advanced, but an older, more.
It's going to be where the fight gets wrestled, right? Like if they wrestle in space, it's going to be
right.
Yeah. If the Hungarian can get to his tie, or the Polish wrestler can get to his ties, it's a good chance there, right? And he beat Batirov the round before, which was the #1 seed. So there's cause for optimism here, right?
For sure. No, I thought, even after the match, I thought that Gadzhiev could pull Green back in. This was going to be I knew his toughest match was going to be the semis against Bayev, who has been on a tear, but Gadzhiev has so many high-level wins. He just doesn't have the medals yet. To be put on that pedestal is the elite, but he's breaking out right now as we're watching, and so I'm very optimistic that I would say 50-50 that Green could get pulled back in, and so I think those are good odds for us, seeing it's the semifinals of the World Championships.
And it'd be a 2-for-1 because it would knock Russia out of the front side of the bracket as well.
Right, correct.
Yep.
And then it would give us the opportunity to beat them for bronze to get ahead on some points there.
Hopefully that'll happen, and we'll have to walk through that bracket. Then let's talk about Jordan Burroughs. He put a few gray hair on a lot of people's heads out there. So he started off with a bye, then had an absolute nail biter with Nurikow from Belarus, 11-10. Then he won 6-4 against the Hungarian, and then really a workmanlike victory in the quarterfinals against another Gadzhiev, 8-1. Yeah, he started out slow, frankly. Can you tell me a little bit about what you saw in Burroughs and what he has to do against Sidakov to get the win?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't necessarily think he started off slow. I think that I think he scored first right away in that match, but then the pace of that match changed with all the stoppages and the blood and the official warning them, and it played right into Nurikov's his game plan, right? We played right into it, but Jordan was able to tough it out and get the W, and then he moved on, and his second match was and that's the worst match, is a relative unknown on the world scene, but he's Russian,
yes,
and he comes from one of the best parts in Russia and Dagestan, but he's wrestling for Hungary now. That could be a little nerve-wracking because they don't all wrestle the same. They have a lot of different styles, but Jordan was able to again tough through that match, very difficult, and then after he made it, then he came out with a 8-1 victory in his quarterfinal match against a former junior world champ, and he opened up and looked a lot better, and so it's exactly what you want in this tournament. Again, Sidakov is going to wrestle wide open, and so is Jordan, and so that to me is more of an advantage for Jordan because he scores a lot more in bunches, and so I do think that's the advantage that we're going to have, and obviously we're picking USA over Russia, but it's going to be a wide open match, unlike the first two, which were more defensive. Those guys kept them at bay, but expect a very wide open, high scoring match. And
Sidakov will wrestle him. He's not going to wrestle to try to keep it close. He's going to try to win.
Exactly.
He won last year in the semis, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, he believes he can win, and a lot of times Burroughs' best chances against guys that think they can actually beat him.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, it sounds weird, but he does well with guys who will actually get in exchanges with him.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. So that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Okay, and then the last wrestler from the United States is Jaden Cox. We're going to start calling him Mr. Clean, thanks to Kathy Cox, and he has cleaned up so far. That's probably the worst thing, just such a corny one, but he's gone by 11-0, 8-0. Really dominant. We talked about the one position. I'll let you talk about it with the lift, but just tell us about Jaden so far.
Man, he's been super impressive. He scored 19 points and has given up 0 so far in his tournament. What he did to the Kazakh wrestler in his last match in the quarterfinals was just unreal. Not just like the display of techniques with his takedowns and the gut wrenches and his ability to not allow his opponents to ever get to his legs, and let alone when they do score. But just his strength that he's showing when that the Kazakh wrestler was pushing him out, and we thought he was about to concede a 1-point push out, and next thing you know, he has him lifted up in the air on his shoulders, getting the takedown.
Right? Silly, right?
Yeah, I don't even know how that switched. That Jaden was over the guy, getting pushed out with leg attack, and next thing you know, they switch positions. Jaden under him, and then he picks him up on his shoulders and finishes the takedown in like an unbelievable fashion.
He was sliding out, stopped himself, sort of dipped under, got one hand to like, just came up.
Yeah, and he was up in his feet and like a flash, and you know he's wrestling unbelievable. He's going to have a tough Georgian this round, the number 4 seed, Mr. Turi. You know, so it'll be interesting, but you know he's had a lot of battles with Georgia in the past.
Yeah.
But you know I think he's just rolling, and he's, you know, it's his defense that's going to win. His offense is going to be the exciting part, but it's his defense that's going to keep him winning these next 2 matches and claiming another world title.
And he's added a gut wrench. Look out, world, he's added a gut wrench. He's got a lace, he's got a gut, and the guy was already just freaky good on his feet. So, look, if you're not ready to watch wrestling right now, I don't know who would be. You need to go to trackwrestling.com. Multiple ways to watch this, 3 different subscription price points. Go to trackwrestling.com, get your subscription. When you come right back, we're going to get started with these matches.
The key to success is preparation. Be strong, be disciplined, stay focused, make sacrifices. When you step to the line, be ready to wrestle. Impose your will on your opponent. Finish. We believe in you. You know what it takes. Keep wrestling.
Set, go! Go! Speed it forward, go! Come on, up! Yes, jump! You made it! Super!
Okay, we're back. So for this session of the semifinals, they're going to run them side by side, Andy, on mats B and C. Okay, and it's going to start with the women's 62-pound semis. If people are keeping track at home, that was Kayla Miracle's weight class. Okay, and so she is eliminated, but this is the weight class that she was in. And we're going men's. Sorry, starting with 70. And so this is Gadziev against Baev. This is the